Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, everybody, in this occasion, we will discuss about behaviorism theory of language teaching and learning. There are four main points that we will discuss. The first is the definition of behaviorism. The second is the major thinkers of behaviorism. The third is the implementation of behaviorism. And the last is the strengths and the weaknesses of behaviorism. What is behaviorism? Behaviorism is concerned with observable and measurable aspects of human behavior. In defining behavior, behaviorist learning theories emphasize changes in behavior that result from stimulus-response associations made by the learner. Behavior is directed by stimuli. In education, the theories of behaviorism have effectively adapted this system of rewards and punishments in their classrooms by rewarding desired behaviors and punishing inappropriate ones. There are three major thinkers of behaviorism: Ivan Pavlov, John B. Watson, and B. F. Skinner. Ivan Pavlov is a brilliant Russian behaviorist. He studied about behaviorism for 30 years and was considered to be the father of conditioning theory. He concerned in the concept of classical conditioning behaviorism. We may also recognize his name because of his famous experiments with dogs. Pavlov was studying the digestive process and the interaction of salivation and stomach function when he realized that reflex in the automatic nervous system closely linked this phenomena. To determine whether external stimuli had an effect on this process, Pavlov rang a bell when he gave food to the experiment dog. He noticed that the dogs salivated shortly before they were given food. He discovered that when the bell was rung at the repeated feedings, the sound of the bell alone would cause the dogs to salivate. John B. Watson. John B. Watson is the important contributor to classical behaviorism. He adapted the ideas of stimulus response, or a person responds to something that's going on in his or her environment, to human learning in order to explain that there are certain conditioned responses. John Watson's Lieder-Albert experiments were some of his more famous experiments, and they involve conditioning a certain phobia in a child by showing him different white fluffy animals and then banging loud objects together behind him. The child grew afraid of those white objects because of the noise that he anticipated as a result of seeing them. B. F. Skinner. B. F. Skinner is American behaviorist who developed a system based on operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is the idea that we behave the way we do because this kind of behavior has had certain consequences in the past. In operant conditioning, there is reinforcement of the behavior by giving reward or punishment. The greatest contribution of B. F. Skinner was known his studies of how rewards and punishment influence behavior. His famous experiment was known the Skinner box. This box was used to observe behavior in tested situations and for operant conditioning experiment. Skinner showed how positive reinforcement worked by placing a hungry rat in his Skinner box. The box contained a lever on the side, and as the rat moved about the box, it would accidentally knock the lever. Immediately it did so, a food pat would drop into a container next to the lever. The rat quickly learned to go straight to the lever after a few times of being put in the box. The consequence of receiving food if they pressed the lever ensured that they would repeat the action again and again.
And the next topic is the implementation of behaviorism. There are 4 points. First, contract. Second, modeling. Third, shaping. Fourth, consequences. And 5, reinforcement. Contract. Simple contract can be effective in helping children focus on behavior change. The relevant behaviors be identified, and the child and counselor should decide the term of the contract. Behavioral contract can be used in school as well as at home. It is helpful if teachers and parents work together with students to ensure that the contract is being fulfilled. Two examples of behavior contracts are: a student is not completing homework assignment. The teacher and the student design a contract providing that the student will stay for extra help, ask parents for help, and complete assigned work on time. Teacher will be available after school and during free periods for additional assistance. The other example, a student is misbehaving in class. The teacher and student devise a behavioral contract to minimize distractions. Provisions include that the student will be punctual, will sit in front of the teacher, will raise hand with question or commands, and will not leave his seat without permission. Modeling. Modeling is also known as observational learning. Albert Bandura has suggested that modeling is the basis for a variety of child behavior. Children acquire many favorable and unfavorable responses by observing those around them. A child who kicks another child after seeing this on the playground, or a student who is always late for class because his friends are late, is displaying the result of observational learning. Shaping. Shaping is the process of gradually changing the quality of response. The desired behavior is broken down into discrete, concerted units or positive movements, each of which is reinforced as it progresses toward the overall behavior goal. In the following scenario, the classroom teacher employs shaping to change student behavior. The class enters the room and sits down, but they continue to talk after the bell rings. Consequences and reinforcement. Consequences occur immediately after a behavior. Consequences may be positive or negative, expected or unexpected, emotional or interpersonal, or even unconscious. Consequences occur after the target behavior occurs, when either positive or negative reinforcement may be given. For the positive reinforcement is presentation of a stimulus that increases the probability of a response. This type of reinforcement occurs frequently in the classroom. Teachers may provide positive reinforcement by smiling at students after a correct response, commending students for the work, selecting them for a special project, or praising students' ability to parents. For the negative reinforcement increases the probability of a response that removes or prevents an adverse condition. Negative reinforcement might include obtaining a score of 80% or higher makes the final exam optional. Submitting all assignments on time result in the lowest grade being dropped, or perfect attendance is rewarded with a homework pass. Next is punishment. Involves presenting a strong stimulus that decreases the frequency of particular response. Punishment is effective in quickly eliminating undesirable behaviors. The examples of punishment include students who fight are immediately referred to the principal, or late assignment are given a grade of 0, or failure to do homework result in after-school detention. Last topic is the strengths and the weaknesses of behavior. One of the major benefits of behaviorism is that it allowed researchers to investigate observable behavior in a scientific and systematic manner. However, many thinkers believe it fell short by neglecting some important influences on behavior. For the strengths, focus on observable, measurable behaviors, useful for modifying behavior in the real world, and useful application in therapy, education, parenting, or children care. For the weaknesses, does not account for biological influences, does not consider mood, thought, or feelings, and does not explain all learning. Okay, everyone, that's all our explanation about behaviorism theory of language teaching and learning. Thank you for watching, and please comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.